This is the HaltingWinter Podcast. HaltingWinter exists to help people and organizations operate at peak performance. If you personally are not operating at peak performance, body, mind, soul, that means your physical, your mental, your emotional states of being are not thriving, developing, growing. If that's you, we would love to help, because if you're not thriving, then you are impacting your ability to lead well. And if your organization is not operating at peak performance, and how do you know? The question is, how's your vision? How is your strategy? How's your structure? How is your culture? Is everyone aligned? And is everyone moving in the same direction? These are the things that you'd want to look at, you want to assess, you want to evaluate, and HaltingWinter is here to help. So if we can be of help to you, check us out, HaltingWinter.com, or go to SethWinterhalter.com and schedule a quick phone call just to talk, check in, see how you are doing personally, see how your organization is doing. Today, the conversation is going to an insight. I want to chat real quickly about a thought of mine. Some of you know I was a professional conductor, orchestras, choirs. My first master's degree was in orchestral conducting. I founded the Capital Philharmonic Orchestra and Chorus in Olympia, Washington, and ran that for half a decade. And it's just some incredible insights from the music orchestral world that I think translate both into business, which is what I want to talk about specifically, the connection between a conductor and an executive, and some interesting, I think, crossovers in how we think and how we perform. But if you are not an executive, if you're not a high-level leader in a business, I think there's still some principles here that you may think about with parenting, with leading anything. Anytime you're leading people and different people, different groups, there's some things I think that we can look at the orchestral world and go, how does that help me? How does that make me think about my leadership and how I'm leading? Because here's the thing, you will lead yourself. Meaning, what do I mean by that? You will lead how you would lead yourself. But the issue is, you're not going to lead a bunch of clones of yourself. You're going to lead a bunch of different people who have different personalities, different skills and abilities. And if you don't learn how to look at the world around you in its differences, you're going to hit some obstacles. You're going to hit some barriers. You're going to frustrate some people and have some roadblocks that are team dynamics, that are people dynamics, relationship dynamics, that I think you can avoid if you just slow down for a moment and remember that people are unique, they're individual, and if you lead towards them instead of leading towards how you would lead yourself, you actually might have more success. So, 3 things. When I think about an executive and a conductor, 3 things that we have to do when we think about leadership are this. Number 1, the conductor leads without an instrument. Think about that. An orchestral conductor stands on a podium in front of 80, 90, 100 musicians. How big is the orchestra? It depends on the piece of work. But let's say they're doing some big Mahler symphony, right? Gustav Mahler and his Symphony of 1,000. You're going to have all these players. And they have instruments. They have violins, and they have tubas, and they have snare drums, and they have piccolos, and they have, right, all these variety of sound creating vessels. And you, as the conductor, get up on your little podium with your little baton wand, and you make no sound, right? Except the conductor who's huffing and puffing up there, probably not adding quite the sound they want to the orchestra. You lead with no sound. You lead with no real ability to impact what the audience is hearing. Here's, I think, the difference between an effective executive and one who's getting in the way. And that's this. The effective executive leads like the conductor. They know their role. They know that they're not there to jump into the weeds and impact the sound that they're creating by playing something. I think this is the difference between a chamber orchestra and a symphonic orchestra. In a chamber orchestra, sometimes you'll see, especially with early music, you'll see the conductor playing the harpsichord. So they'll be playing and conducting. That's the issue of an ineffective executive, where maybe they came up, right? Maybe they were the sales. They came up through sales. They led the sales team. They became, right, part of the executive team. Now there's the CEO. What's their temptation? Their temptation is to get into the weeds and go, well, how are we going to fix this issue? Well, I know sales, so I'm going to go into sales, even if sales isn't the problem, but I'm going to go there and fix it through that. That's an executive that has not shifted fully into their new role. That you don't get to jump back in. You don't get to go back into the weeds. You don't get to grab an instrument. You're the conductor now. You have to stay on your podium and fix it through effective leadership, through vision, through inspiration, through strategy. So the first thing I think an effective executive has to realize is they lead without an instrument. Think about this. If you're listening and you're a parent, when you have multiple kids, you don't get to lead by being your kid's best friend. You don't lower yourself and go, oh, well, I'm gonna speak to you as I would my friend. We're all friends here. I think I see that sometimes with parenting, this idea of you be your kid's best friend. But what? You're their parent. They need to understand authority. They need to understand structure. They need to understand that you're a dad, you're a mom. You're going to speak to them in a way that's parental. Yes, there's love, there's support, but there's a difference. You don't get to be an orchestra member, you're the conductor. The effective executive leads now in the executive seat. They don't get out of the seat and go back onto the playing field. Number 2, the effective executive leads various sections that make up an orchestra. Remember, the conductor, it has a string section. They have a woodwind section. They have a brass section. They have a percussion section. They have these variety of sections that make up unique sounds that contribute to the whole of that piece of music. An effective executive has departments like the sales team, the marketing team, the customer service team, the operational team, and they're all pulling different weights that are doing different aspects of product development, product sales, customer retention, customer service, all these things that impact the overall bottom line, that impact the business. Once again, you can't lead all those sections the same. From a conductor point of view, the brass section has a very brassy personality. I can't speak to them, nor would I speak to them the way I speak to the viola section. There's a different personality. It's interesting how, even though there are unique individuals in every section, a section has its own kind of stereotypical way to them. The string section is broken up into various parts. So they're not all, right? They all play a stringed instrument, but the bass section is going to be much different than the viola section, much different than the first violin section. Second violin section always feels a little neglected because the first violins always get the star roles, right? Cello section always feels much more important than the bass section. But the bass section, those guys, those gals, they've got the big instrument. They know that when push comes to shove, low notes are coming. Brass section, a woodwind section, very delicate, like their instruments. So we speak to them, we conduct them, we lead them with a different tone, different timbre. Have you thought about that with your teams? How are your teams? And again, we want to be careful of stereotypes and just leading to not realities, but look at your teams. Look at the way you speak to marketing. Look at the way you speak to sales. Look at the way you speak to the warehouse. Look at the way you speak to customer service reps. Like, there's going to have a tone and language and motivation and inspiration. They're going to be inspired by different things. Do you know them? Do you know how your different departments work? so that you're not just leading yourself. You're not just speaking the way you would want to be spoken to. You're making sure you understand the people that you lead and that there are differences, different ways you speak, right? Now in the tech world, you're going to speak to engineers much different than you're going to speak to the sales team. They're going to have different languages, different motivations, different understandings of, and ways that they feel important, right? Do the different departments feel important? Do they see their contribution to the whole? Do other departments respect the other departments? Do they see that you're all puzzle pieces creating a beautiful tapestry? Or do your departments war against each other? It's going to be hard to conduct an orchestra towards a beautiful piece of sound if the brass section wants to dominate every time they come in. Right? This is the big thing about a conductor is you are controlling dynamics. You're trying to bring out the viola section in that. You're trying to bring out the oboe section in that. You're trying to bring out, right? I'm trying to temper the trumpets. Even though, yes, I want them to come in and I want that to sound to carry, but the trumpets are they're not the star there. It's the cellos that are the star there. So we need to bring that cello line out while encouraging the trumpets to play, but in check. There's the job of the executive. Balance, tension, dynamics, swells, timing. So, like a conductor, an effective executive leads without an instrument. They lead various sections. Number 3, they lead through vision. The conductor's primary job is to have a vision for the piece of music that the entire orchestra is playing. Only one person gets the vision, and that's the conductor. The conductor has the vision for how it sounds. When I was a conductor, I would have that picture, that sound that I wanted in my ear, and it was my job to lead the instrumentalist to play that picture. That means that I need to understand the timing. I need to understand the overall harmonic structure and dynamics and the emotional tension of the piece. Only one person gets to do that, because if you give that away to everyone, everyone's going to play their own piece of music and it's going to sound like trash. It's not going to be in time together. It's not going to highlight the right instruments at the right time. It's just going to be a wall of sound. Out of time, out of sync. Harmony all over the place. You need to lead through vision. You need to have a compelling vision, a clear vision, a concise vision, and then you need to inspire towards that. You need to not just have a vision, you need to say why that's important. Why is it important that we accomplish this vision? I spent a lot of time as a conductor with the musicians talking not only about the piece of music, but why. Why were we performing? What were we giving to the audience that night? To remember that we weren't just there for music's sake. We were there because of what music does. It calms, it gives peace. It creates joy. It creates the positives of emotions. Is your business creating good? Is it creating positivity? Is it helping? Is it serving? And does your team know that? Are they remembering that? Are you keeping that front and center? Or are you just keeping whatever new product is launched? It's just the new product, it's just the new initiative, it's just the new thing, and then it feels very businessy instead of visionary, inspiring, remembering why we play music. We don't just play it because we show up and we get paid to do it. We play it because even if we weren't paid, we have to play. We were wired to play. We were wired to create this sound. And this sound needs to work together. It's not just a solo instrument. It's an orchestra. It's dozens upon dozens, 100 players coming together to play one piece of music with perfect harmony, with agreed upon dynamics, timing. You lead through vision. You lead through inspiration. And think about this. The tool of the conductor is the baton. And what are they doing with that baton? They are keeping time. And it's not just time. You could set up a metronome. A metronome is a device that keeps time, perfect time. You could set the tempo to whatever and we'll just play. But see, that's not music. Even though a composer of a piece of music puts in time, they put in, right, the quarter note gets one beat per 60 seconds. 82, 76, 112. What's the tempo? What's the tempo? Well, the key is just because a composer puts 82 as the tempo marking per quarter note, that doesn't mean that there's not give and take, that there's not tension, that there's not pull. In fact, there will be notes in the score. Ritardando to slow down. Accelerando to speed up. The conductor is bringing a vision to that speed, that tempo, because it's creating dynamic, it's creating tension, it's creating musical movement, it's creating a living piece of music. You as an executive are creating a living piece of art. Your business is an art form. It's creating something that's impacting the world, or it should be. It shouldn't just be a gimmick. It shouldn't just be a farce. It should be doing good. And you should have a vision for that good. And you should inspire to that vision daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc. It should be in front of the people. And you should be keeping everyone together. You should have a baton. And you should remember it's your job to keep all those departments together, unified, to create a culture where everyone sees that even though I don't understand engineering, I value it because they are the back end. They are the framework and foundation of our product. Sales. If we don't have sales, no one's going to know about our product. No one's going to use our product. We need sales. We need good sales teams. We need good customer service because when people have problems, when people don't understand our product fully and don't know how to use it effectively, it makes the engineer's job with it pointless. And I, as an engineer, value good customer service because I want them to use our product fully to get the best out of it. You, as an executive, are in charge of keeping everyone together. And keeping everyone together according to the vision that you're setting out, not according to what they want, according to what your role is designed to do, and that is create the vision and lead the vision. The effective executive is a conductor. They lead without an instrument. They lead various sections, keeping them in harmony and in healthy culture and work together. They lead without an instrument, they lead various sections, and they lead through vision and the keeping of timing. If you're an effective executive, do you have your baton? Are you ready? If you're a parent, are you leading your kids as a parent, or are you trying to be their best friend? Are you leading the various children you have, not just how you would have led yourself, not just to your personality, but are you understanding the variety of personalities that your children have? Are you aware of who they are, how they function, how they think, how to get the best out of them, how to get them to think and learn and grow and mature? Are you leading through a vision? Do you have a vision for your children's life? If you're a parent, do you have a vision? Yes, you want to be careful that you're not implementing your dreams and your hopes. But what does it look like to raise children that are in the on-ramp, to adulthood? What does it mean to create a child who thinks well, who understands by the time they're an adult and they leave their house, the fundamentals of what it means to be an adult, to understand finances, relationships, communication. Do you have a vision? Now, we need a vision. And we need to lead well. So I want to encourage you, if you're stuck in your leadership, if you're an executive and you're stuck, how can we help? Give us a call, schedule, go to our website, HaltingWinter.com, schedule time for us to sit down and chat, to hear where you're at, to hear what the obstacles are, and to see if fresh eyes might help you. Fresh eyes might help you see how you can grow yourself or think strategically to help the people around you grow. Don't sit and give in to burnout or overwhelming thoughts. There's a way forward. Sometimes it's hard to see it. But if you're an effective executive also knows when to ask for help. So, executives, remember you're a conductor. Grab your baton and get to work. Casting that vision. Leading those sections. Not stepping down and grabbing the violin and playing yourself, but staying on the podium, in your lane, doing what only you are called to do. And that is lead us towards a compelling vision. Until next time, this is Halting Winter, and we hope you've learned something today. Go apply it. Until then.